On March 20th, G2 didn't just win a series. By defeating the LCK second seed with a 3-0, they brought back hope to Western League of Legends. However, if you just saw the results on X or Reddit, you wouldn't truly understand how this happened. This wasn't only won through mechanical outplays. This was a draft masterclass designed to do one thing: to make sure the LCK's newest prodigy, Diablo, never got to play the game. But before we break down the draft, let's talk about BFX. If you aren't familiar with them, you probably don't understand how they ended up here. Their solo laners, Clear and Vikla, aren't the most dominant. In fact, you could argue that this is the weakest topside that Korea has sent to an international. So, how did they do it? Well, the answer is quite simple. It's because of their ADC Diablo. To put into context how good this guy is, prior to the match versus G2, Diablo already had two pentakills in this tournament. Before this week's first 10 matches, Imp from the legendary Samsung White was the only other player to have more than one pentacle in a single international event. He is two of a kind. He is the heart and soul of their team. He is the main carry. And the best way to put it is if you can't match their bot lane, it's pretty hard to beat them. However, G2 were able to beat them. But how did they do it? By the way, hey guys, I'm Deos and I'm the assistant coach of Sentinels. If you enjoyed this comment, please like, comment, and subscribe, and join my Discord. By utilizing Fearless to take out the strongest bot lane combos first. In Game 1, you can see how the strategy plays out. In the current patch, there are four main bot lane combos: Ashe Seraphine, Ezreal Karma, Corki Nami, Inara Lulu. Within this, there's a bit of a rock, paper, scissors going on. Ashe Seraphine is really good versus Yunara, but weak versus Ezreal Karma. Corki Nami typically becomes the strongest when Ashe Seraphine and Ezreal Karma is out. You get the point. What G2 do in Game 1 is by banning Karma and first picking Seraphine, they're already setting themselves up to have the strongest bot possible. You might be wondering why not first pick Ashe, and that's because people have begun to go MF Seraphine in response. Seraphine first pick is now the adaptation to that counter. Additionally, if you look at Diablo and Kellen's champion pool, you'll notice that Kellen doesn't play Nautilus or Blitz, which are decent answers to the Seraphine first pick. BFX go with Vi and Nico, and at that point, I think that they're really far behind the draft. G2 respond with Ashe and Xin, and then BF take Ari. In my opinion, I think the correct play here for BFX was to just take their bot lane response. You could go Ashe Milio, which is pretty common. You can go Ashe Nautilus. You can go Ashe Lulu. Anything but the Vi Nico, in my opinion. Because the issue is that when G2 correctly bans Kai'Sa and Ezreal, which I think are the best pairings with the Nico at this moment, which results in Diablo taking Inara, BFX must now rely on their mid jungle to take over the game, and their bot lane's job is to just farm. They've lost their agency, which, like we said prior, is not how BFX wins. If we skip to around 14 minutes in game 1, you can see that G2's bot lane is up around 1.8k gold on their counterparts, showcasing the power and prowess of their strategy. Now, let's break down game 2 where BFX chooses first pick. G2 continue with their karma ban, which I believe is correct. BFX take Rumble, and G2 respond with Ornn and Nami. Once again, G2 is showing their priority on making sure that they have the strongest bot lane. In my opinion, I think BFX taking Rumble instead of Nami is a really big fumble. They already banned Nautilus, and Broken Blade is not known for his Rumble. To me, this is a clear sign that BFX did not recognize what G2 was doing. Rumble is not a priority pick in this situation. There's a really high chance that you can get it back. Nami is a way higher priority, especially considering the fact that Corki Nami, at this point, like we mentioned, is incredibly strong, with Ashe Seraphine being down and Ezreal Karma being down. BFX then picked Nocturne and Mel, which I don't really like, and G2 respond with Corki solidifying the strength of their bot lane. As we watch the draft play out, G2 once again correctly banned on Ezreal, but I'm not so sure about the Lucian ban, but if it's for respect, it's fine. Afterwards, there's a moment where BFX can respond with a strong bot lane, but instead they pick Kai'Sa or Khan, another lane where their job is just to scale and be passengers. If we watch the game play out, G2's bot lane were able to secure first grab, and at 15 minutes, Hans is up 20 CS on Diablo. Not only that, Hans also has an insane performance this game, pumping out tons of damage. Now we're going to analyze the third and final game. BFX once again choose first pick, and G2 once again with the karma ban. However, this time Varus is up, so you might be thinking that BFX have finally figured out the plan. By first picking Varus, You would think that this increases their chance of their bot lane being able to carry. However, you're wrong. Varus in certain comps can be a hard carry, but this champ at its core is an ADC that needs his team to provide value. Unlike Quirky Nami, Yunara Lulu, Ezreal Karma, and to some extent Ashe Seraphine, which can all dictate the pace of the game, it's harder for Varus to have those super highlight insane moments. Sivir is a very, very strong pick into Varus that gets prior outscales while also having mid push. Additionally, G2 are able to draft a comp that makes Varus' life very hard. They slam Sivir and Alistar, and BFX respond with Maokai Jace showing poke. G2 picks on, and at this point, I already think that BFX can win the draft. They round their comp out with Pantheon, which is insanely good versus Varus, and Zoe. BFX have Syndra and Poppy. This doesn't seem as obvious as a draft to neutralize bot lane compared to the others, but I would argue that this game is pretty unlosable. It is almost impossible for Varus to carry versus this comp. All G2 have to do is press R's, run at Varus, and he simply runs out of damage. If we go to 50 minutes, Hans has a 1.5k gold lead on Diablo, and if we look at the third Drake fight, you can see how hard it is for him to actually carry. To summarize, G2's 3-0 was a result of their genius prep and great draft execution. They identified that without Diablo, BFX were far weaker and drafted in a way that reduced his impact. In a world where people believed that the East was unstoppable, this win by G2 showcases that while it may not feel like it, the gap is indeed closing. All it takes is some creativity. Comment below what other drafts would you like me to break down, and listen to Skum on Wind.
Oh my god! 3-0 bro, 3-0 bro!
Good job guys, chill out.
No, what do you mean chill out? I don't give a shit bro! I don't give a shit man! Shut up bro, we won! I don't care man!